last week it was a conference game, and that's what conference games are like. To win a championship, you got to win tight games. I think this team has done that twice. They've played together. I think they've worked hard together. I really think all three units it took to win the game. I think defensively, obviously, we played well for most of the game. And then our special teams, what Matt Ariza has accomplished to this point. But he would be the first one to tell you that it's not just him because we've had some great coverage. We didn't give up 1 yard in the special teams last week, which I think says something. And then offensively, it wasn't our best night. I'll give a lot of credit to that defensive front at San Jose. I think that's a good defensive football team. Obviously, I think they're a good offensive football team. But we just got to keep working. We did put together 2 touchdown drives, and that helped us and won the game. So, we're excited about where we're at. I can guarantee you that we have an elite football team coming in this weekend, we're going up there this weekend. Should be 7-0. Very dominant. Air Force is very dominant at the line of scrimmage. They take care of the football. They have 38 minutes of time of possession, which is unheard of to some degree. And this is definitely our biggest challenge of the year.
Thank you, Coach. Hey, we'll start with Andre.
Hey, Coach. Last week you mentioned 2 areas of improvement for your defense with better tackling and forcing more turnovers. How would you assess that after the San Jose State game?
Well, I think we still, Andre, need to do a better job when you talk about turnovers. That's one of the things that you emphasize, we talk about, we drill. But the one thing I know, we get guys to the ball. I mean, we get bodies to the ball. That doesn't seem to be a problem for us. We just got to do a better job of knocking the ball out, stepping in front. A couple picks would always be nice, and proud of how they're playing. We just got to, we got to get the ball back.
And Air Force has outscored their opponents 59-14 in the first quarter. I know starting fast was a big emphasis for you 2 weeks ago. How much more important is it this week?
Well, it's really important. There's no doubt about it. I think they start so fast because you can't simulate that offense. I think it's awfully hard, and we've worked at it. We worked at it during spring a little bit during fall camp, and now obviously we're working at it real hard right now. But, just the speed of the game is different. The speed of the block, the line of scrimmage is different than what you're going to see on Saturday.
And then last question from me. Jordan Byrd hasn't been heavily involved in the offense the past 2 weeks. Is that just a product of the game plan or how the games have evolved? And is that something you're looking to get him more involved in moving forward?
Yeah, I don't know if I would have to go back and look, how much he has or hasn't. But, he's a key part to what we do. And there's no doubt that, we'll have him involved within the offense.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thanks.
Thanks, Andre. We'll go to Kirk.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Kirk.
What's the key to stopping the triple option? Is it the defensive line, support from the linebackers, or anything in particular?
Well, I think it's a combination of everybody, obviously. With my background always has been you've got to stop the fullback. And I still believe that, that's the first element. You got to hit him. You can't let him stay upright. Because if he stays upright and goes down through the line of scrimmage, and you're the guy who's responsible, whether he has the ball or not, I think you got to tackle him. You can't let him run through your linebackers and get to the second level. And, he becomes a heck of a blocker then. So I think it's fullback, and we got to give them enough looks. You got to change up, who's the fullback, who's the dive player, who's the quarterback player, who's the pitch player.
And so on your defense, is there one guy in particular whose assignment that will be to knock down the fullback, or does that change depending on how you guys play?
Yeah, two things. It changes what scheme they're in, okay? Whether it's speed option, whether it's counter option, whether it's triple dive or midline. So it will depend on the scheme as much as anything.
And then they run so much. How much does that set up those rare passes for them? And how much is that, kind of a challenge watching for that?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you got to have guys within their pursuit have their eyes in the right places. As far as the wings or tight end or whatever it might be, I think that's a big part of it, and just the discipline that it takes.
Okay, and then offensively for you guys, who's your quarterback and backup this week?
Lucas will be the guy who's going to start the football game, and Will be the second guy.
And can you tell a little bit about what went into those two decisions?
Well, obviously, Lucas finished the other night on a high note, has a hot hand right now, has continued to practice well, and the same thing with Will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Kirk. Go to John Schaefer.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well.
Hi, John.
When you go back on that final play, and Lucas talked about audibling and finding Jesse, what was your reaction, in the moment to that decision?
Well, your reaction is you got a lot of faith. You believe in those two. I believe in both of them. He had gone to Jesse before, same play, same check, and felt pretty good about it. And obviously, if it didn't work out, I wouldn't feel as good.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the fact that Air Force could be, a 7-0 football team. When you look at their film, they look like a team that is as good as any team in the Mountain West Conference.
Oh, no doubt. I don't think there's any doubt about it. They went to Boise last weekend and won a tough game. By a touchdown. They're a good football team. Troy's really a good football coach, and I think they're always going to be good rushing the football and time of possession. But I think they're 11th in the country defensively, and it just tells you how good of a total football team this is.
What do you make of you mentioned Matt Ariza's success, but of him being recognized by the AP, I think the Athletic and others, as being a first-team special teams player based on what he's done so far this year?
Well, he's got a lot of year left, number one. Love what he's done to this part. I think he'd be the first one to tell you, we got some guys who are really playing hard on those teams. When you look at, punts and guys getting down to either down the ball or, make a tackle, the kickoffs into the end zone. I mean, there's so much that Matt gives you, him running down and making a tackle. John, I just think that it's a whole group, but Matt has done a nice job. And the one thing I can tell you, he's got the respect of his teammates. Just because what he does daily, and I'm talking about, how he gets ready in practice, how he goes through a practice, and then what he did during winter conditioning, summer conditioning, how he is as an athlete. He's got the respect of his teammates.
When he has one more, Coach, when he has like an 86-yard punt in a game, I mean, are you seeing this? That's obviously ridiculous. I mean, in practice, is he doing things even crazier than what we're seeing during games?
Well, he's had a couple days when we're doing specialists before, where he does one heck of a job, almost 86 yards again. I mean, he's really hitting the ball well. You know, nothing surprises me. Let's put it that way.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Thank you, John. We'll go to Darnay.
Hey, Brady, hope you're well. I was wondering if you could just give us an idea of what the growing process has been like from Will Haskell, what you've seen from him, and what he's done to make you comfortable with him now in that number 2 position.
Well, I think this, Darnay, I think he's a very attentive student to some degree, if you want. He's athletic as anybody on our football team. I think, his package isn't as big as the package that Jordan had or the package that Lucas will have, but he's a guy that we have a lot of faith in, and how he'll, take the reads and the different things that you saw him do a couple games ago.
You talked about being balanced before the preseason. How much concern is there that if you guys aren't able to achieve that, that's something that could catch up with you as the season goes on?
I think it definitely concerns everybody. We got to, keep running the football first, though, and then that hopefully will open up some of the play action game that we have.
And lastly, with kind of the modern style of football, there's some people that say time of possession isn't very important. It doesn't seem to be the case with a team like Air Force. Can you just explain why time of possession is so important with a team like that, and potentially a game like this with 2 teams that can control the ball effectively?
Yeah, I would say this. We both play really good defense when we're watching the offense. And that's what I'll tell you. I mean, we play real well when the offense is taking care of the football and running the football.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, and we'll go to Adam.
Hey, Coach. How did Jordan Brookshire take the news that he would not be starting or even backup quarterback for this week?
Well, Adam, how you would think, disappointed. He's a competitor. And, we let him feel bad there for about 24 hours, and now we're back at it.
And then where does he go from here?
Well, he goes back to work, just like we all do.
Great, thank you. We'll go to Lee Hamilton.
Hey, Brady, I got a question. The games that I've watched, the pass blocking in front of Brookshire has been really shaky, and he's had to move the pocket, and he seems to get out of sync and all that. I know your offensive line grades really well pounded it. Are you disappointed that the pass blocking's been erratic, or am I reading it wrong?
No, I think there's times, like we've said before, Lee, everybody's going to, talk about the quarterback and, put a lot of eyes on him. But we all do because of the nature of the position. But there's 10 other guys out there, whether it's not running a route correctly or breaking a route off, to what you're alluding to when you look at, protecting the quarterback, in pass protection. Do we have to get better there? I 100%. We better be, or we're going to be in trouble.
I want to ask you about preparing for this. How do you practice defense to try to equate their speed, their blocking schemes? And by the way, who's your scout quarterback trying to run whatever they're running?
Well, a couple things. Number one, we've got a method a little bit, with pre-practice and how we're trying to, it's really isolating the different fundamentals and the different techniques, that you face. If you're a 3-technique defensive tackle, you're going to get veer scheme, you're going to get arc scheme, right? Or you're going to get base reach. That's what you're going to do. The difference is that offensive guard or offensive tackle, if you're a 5 technique, when he veers inside, you better try and get some friction on him so he doesn't get a free run up on the linebackers. So that over and over and over again is a big part of it. And so we've got to keep, the being disciplined with your eyes is everything when you play this kind of football team.
And is speed of your linebackers and gap control and blitzing open seams, is that a critical part to slow that offense down?
Well, I do think Hacksaw. I think you got to give them different looks. I mean, you've got to do a couple things, differently. You can't. You're not going to stand, and be in there in an odd front or an even front or some sort of reduction. You're not going to just play one thing the whole time. Even though we have done that before and been pretty successful with it, I think this team's really, really a physical football team. They're doing a heck of a job running the football.
And I got a question about Cam Thomas and also Caden. I haven't seen college kids be able to get off blocks and get to the ball as consistently and as explosively as they are. Are they kind of unique people?
Yeah, I'll tell you what they are. They're very driven. They're two guys who absolutely love the game of football. Two guys who absolutely love practice and the knowledge. I mean, after practice, Cam's up here every night watching all the film, watching the practice film, and then watching game film, opponent film. I mean, both of them, and we got a lot of guys like that, but those two stick out. And then I think fundamentally, they're good football fundamentals.